computer. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Cerniak, the director at Parma Preschool, and hopefully we can answer some of your questions you may have today and go over some important things that will happen this year for school.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm one of the teachers, and I also help out in the office as a co-director or whatever Mrs. Cerniak asked me to do. And I am going to, is everybody, give me a thumbs up if you're familiar with Zoom, or a thumbs down if you've never done it before. Okay, so everyone knows, oh, we got 1 and 1, but you're just gonna have to ask whoever's with you, because she gave a thumbs up. There is a mute button down at the bottom. You're all muted, so we can't hear you, but you can also turn off your video, your stop video, if you don't want us to see you, and that's fine. And we are gonna share our screen to show you a presentation, but make sure you open up the chat. So you'll have a column that'll open up to this side. It should be on your right side, and you can type your question, or if you have a question, just go ahead and raise your hand, and you can either unmute yourself and just say, I have a question, or we'll see you and we'll unmute you, okay?
Hi, I'm Miss Julie. I'm one of the teachers, and hopefully we can answer some questions because we're all trying to figure out how this school year is going to go.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to get started. So now you're seeing my screen, which hopefully it's not messing with you too much. All right, so here we are. There's everybody at our school, but our Bitmoji selves. So I'm Miss Jackie, Mrs. Cerniak's over here, Miss Julie's over here, and I don't think anyone else from our staff is on today. They may get on later, but there you go. You can see everyone. All right, now I got to figure out how to go to the next one. So here's our plan for, I have to move this. Here's our plan for today. We are going to talk about our licensing rules right now, and what we're under right now are called pandemic licensing rules. We're going to discuss the hybrid schedules. We're going to talk about what preschool is going to look like. And then we're going to talk about some of our new procedures. So that'll include coming to school and leaving, checking the children, what we're going to call well checks, wearing shoes in the classroom, our snack policy, and that's supposed to say masks, not masks, so I'll fix that. And I did this late last night, can you tell? And then classroom activity and materials, things that might be different from last year. And finally, what we need for registration and enrollment and our family visits. So those are gonna be something new this year. We're gonna have family visits, and they're gonna start August 24th, and they'll probably go to September 4th, but that's over Labor Day weekend, I think. Is it? No, it may not be. Maybe right before Labor Day weekend. Okay, so first things first. I am going to move, so somebody, Mrs. Busser, since I know you, can you unmute yourself? Just see if it'll work. I know, now that she's like chewing.
Julie, do you have the number?
You can't?
Zoom meeting?
You can't, okay, because I'm gonna get rid of the, so I'm not gonna be able to see you, so I can see my screen. So now that I know that you can unmute yourself, go ahead, and if anyone has a comment or a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and just interrupt us, okay? Thanks, Mrs. Busser.
Hi, Mrs. Busser.
All right, so the pandemic licensing rules. For those of you who are not too familiar with childcare, it's very confusing because we're a private preschool, but we are not really a school, and we're not a childcare center. However, we operate under Child Care Center rules. Child Care Center is kind of our big blanket organization, which is really weird. It's half of the Ohio Department of Education and half of the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services. And they came together and they formed Early Childhood Ohio. Super confusing. So They kind of fight and argue over different rules. The childcare rules are a lot more strict than the school rules. So for those of you who are only familiar with school systems, districts, and what's going on in the news right now, the Ohio Department of Education put out rules for the school system. Each district decides their own rules. We don't follow those at all. Our rules are actually stricter, and our rules have been stricter since maybe April. I think April. They came out with pandemic rules, and these rules were more strict with limiting classes to 9 children, increasing hand washing, sanitation, a facial covering policy, more strict than the typical schools. Those just got lifted. So if you're watching the governor, our governor said that childcare centers, daycares, if you hear them called daycares, can go back to their pre-pandemic rules, meaning they can pack in all the kids to the classroom again. They don't have to stop at 9. It's recommended that they social distance. There's recommendations, but we don't have to do that anymore. That being said, we are not going to change what we had planned to do. We feel as though if schools are not opening, they're going remotely. And if we start to let 18 kids back into the classroom, the potential for passing around germs goes up. So we're gonna follow the pandemic rules. That means 9 kids per class, 2 teachers in each class. That means children will have a hybrid schedule, and we'll talk about that. So no one's coming to school in any class at our school more than 2 days a week in person. Now, depending on what class you're in, you may get some more activities to do at home and that hybrid learning. It's not going to be all online. It's not going to be like a sit in front of a screen curriculum. All right, Mrs. Rank, do you want to keep going?
All right, we are once again trying to make everything as safe as possible at our school. So we're going to make some little changes to help keep germs out of our classroom. One of the changes that we're going to make is we are going to have no shoes in our classroom. So what's going to happen is when those children enter the building, they are going to take off their outside shoes and put them on a mat. And we are going to ask parents to either bring slippers, flip-flops, or a pair of socks, whatever you feel your child is most comfortable with, and that is what is going to be used in the classroom. There's really yucky germs on your shoes. I don't even allow shoes in my own home, so this is something I'm really happy to do. So I hope that will not be too difficult for parents to switch to something like that. Whatever you feel your child is comfortable, either with slippers that you'll leave at school or flip-flops or socks. We are also going to ask parents to bring some rain boots. Just buy the cheapest type of rain boots that you can find that the children can just put on their feet, and that is what they will use in the outside, in the outdoor classroom. That will keep, again, the germs out of our classroom. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jackie for the next one.
All right. In the past, we've had, are there any questions so far? We're good? Okay. Mr. John, hi. Mr. John just joined us.
Mrs.
Good to see
Maypire
you.
is trying to get
Hi,
on too,
Mr.
and
John,
she
how are
can't.
you?
Good. How you doing? What's happening?
Good. We just started. This is pretty much our first slide. So it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. In the past, we had snack. Now, snack time is really one of our favorite things. It's the highlight of our day. It's the time where we spent a lot of time talking and listening to children, finding out what's going on in their lives, what's going on in your lives at home, whether you realize it or not. But it's also a time where we had family-style meals. So the children learn to portion size, and we pass around the food, and they take it themselves. And all of this is freaking us out. So the easy thing to do is to get rid of snacks. And this will really only affect children who have had preschool before. If you've never been in preschool, the children won't know any different. Legally, we don't have to have snack. You only have to have snack if you're in operation more than 4 hours. So some of our classes are in for 2 hours, some are 2.5. They don't need a snack. They'll always have water, but that's a change. It's something easy to get. Go ahead.
All right, we are still working out how we will have arrival and dismissal procedures. The teachers will be at school, and we're going to work out the best way that we could limit all of the parents coming in at the same time, and all of the children leaving at the same time, so that we can practice social distancing. We've come up with a few scenarios, but would really like to act them out so that we are sure that it's going to work. Some of these things are, they seem so easy, but all in all, when we have 3 classes coming at the same time and 3 classes leaving at the same time, it takes a lot more thought to how to get it to work. So that we'll be working on in the next few weeks and try to get a really safe and efficient system for parents coming and leaving the school. You're also going to see a lot more cleaning going on in the school and sanitation. That again is why we have, like, Wednesday's a clear day for us to deep clean before the next group of children come in. So there's a lot of cleaning and sanitation that will be going on at the school as well.
There is a link on here, and I will click it. So I will share this with you as well, but just so that you know what's going on and where these are coming from, some of the, if it loads, some of the rules and our recommendations, it's all found here. This is from the state of Ohio, and it gives all of the guidelines for childcare programs, and then it goes through each one, and it gives what's mandatory, and then a recommendation. So that goes through every single thing, including ratio, class size, hand washing, and you'll see that we're doing more of the recommended than just the mandatory. We're going above.
As always.
As always, we tend to do that. I thought I saw a hand. Did someone have a question? No? Okay. All right, so we'll go on. All right, so moving on. Our hybrid schedule, and what is that going to look like? Yep. Oh,
Go back.
go back.
Let's talk about,
I need to go back. Sorry.
when they come to school, the well checks.
Oh, we didn't mention that. You want to talk about well checks?
Sure. So once we figure out the arrival, the way we're going to do that, the teachers are going to be ones that do a well check. We are going to ask that every family, please, I know it's hard in the morning, especially if you're in the morning class, somebody wakes up and, sometimes you can't tell how they're feeling right away, or they might just have the morning stuffies. But try to look at your child and see how they're feeling before you bring them. But once they do come into our building, however we do the arrival, the teachers will do a wellness check. And by that, we just mean we're going to take their temperature with a non-touch thermometer. And then we're also going to just, see if they have runny noses, see how they're feeling. A lot of times, even with children, they might look okay, but if they don't feel well, we want them to tell us that, because sometimes they're fighting something before they necessarily have a bunch of symptoms or anything. But we really like to get to know our children, and if somebody has allergies or something, hopefully once we get to know your child, we'll know okay, they're just a little bit stuffy, it's nothing. But obviously we have to be a little bit strict with this just because of the safety of all of you, that we don't want, somebody coming in and us thinking it's allergies and it's not allergies. So it's going to be a little bit, tricky at first, but we're just going to assess your child, see if they look okay, feel okay. And then if they are good to go, we'll bring them into the classroom as a group and start our day. And hand washing, I don't know if they mentioned that. We always do that before. So all of you returners, that's something we've always done, but we're obviously going to be enforcing that more. They will have to wash their hands the second they walk into the building. Teachers will be doing the same as well. And hand sanitizer is great and everything, and that's okay in the car, but when they do come in our building, we are going to have them wash their hands at school, even if they just had antibacterial.
We like soap and water.
And paper towels to get all that germs.
And paper towels. All right. So let's talk about the hybrid schedule. This is something that, oh, there's my bar. Look, I was looking all over for that. Okay. Kids spend a lot of time on screens now, and that's something that we're not really big advocates for. So when we talk about a hybrid schedule, we're not talking about a kid sitting in front of their computer or an iPad or your phone from 9 to 11:30 on the days they don't have school. All of our classes will be split into 2 small groups. So our classes that are usually 18, now we'll have 2 classes of 9. So they'll each have home days and they'll have school days. So for example, one class will have 18 kids and they'll have 2 groups. So 18 kids, group 1 will come to school Monday and Tuesday, and group 2 will be at home those days. And then on Thursday and Friday, group 1 will be at home and group 2 will come to school. On Wednesday, there will be no students in the building, only teachers to clean and sanitize and separate those 2 groups even more. So on home days, we're planning on sending activities home. This is a good time. I think now it's over. It was tax-free weekend. Does it go till today? I think it's over. But this is the best time, tax-free or not, to go and buy some school supplies at home. Children will have tons of materials at school, but it's great to have these things at home. So markers, crayons, pencils, the big fat pencils, glue sticks, their own pair of scissors. Don't worry, they're gonna learn how to use them at school so that when you get home, if we give you some work, it'll be things to do with the family, hands-on, fun things, and maybe go on a scavenger hunt together. We're gonna try to supply you with as much stuff as you'll need, but everyone hopefully will have crayons and scissors and markers and pencils at home for them to use. Correct. So let's look at these classes. For the squirrels and the grasshopper, the squirrel class usually comes to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 9 to 11. This year, they'll only come to school Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesdays, they're at home and they'll get some activities at home. Well, the teachers will send stuff home. I'm one of the teachers. I think Mrs. Napehover's on here. Hi, Mrs. Napehover. She's another one of the teachers. So on Wednesdays, no one comes to school. We may do a Zoom meeting with them. We may post some videos of us reading a story for you to watch on YouTube, but none of that will be required. It's only supplemental if you want. And then we'll see them the next Monday and Tuesday. The grasshopper class doesn't change at all. Last year, and they're typically in school from Thursday and Fridays, it's gonna be the same. That class will be different because they won't have any work at home, no hybrid, anything. It's just normal, Thursday and Friday, they're at school. All right, the Robin class usually comes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This year, we're not having anyone in school on Wednesday, so we're adding a day for them to still get their 4 days, typically, but they're gonna be split into 2 groups. So again, each group will come 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, or Thursday and Friday. Who wants to talk about all the other classes?
All right, so the other classes, which are the salamanders, the crickets, the blue heron, and the cardinals. So that is 4 classes. They usually come 5 days a week. They normally come from 9 to 11:30 in the morning, or the afternoon, 12:30 to 3. So this year, the morning group will be divided into 2 groups. They will come Monday, Tuesday from 9 to 11, or Thursday, Friday from 9 to 11. That's for the morning. The afternoon, 9 of them will come from 12:30 to 3 on Monday, Tuesday, or 12:30 to 3 on Thursday, Friday. Once again, there are no Wednesday classes. So I know sometimes when I read this, it sounds confusing.
It is, especially when it's all on.
But when when it's all written out, it looks confusing. But you'll know if you're group 1 or group 2, and you'll know if you come Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. So we will make that clear so you know which days you are coming.
And I'm assuming we'll probably tell you, I've had some families that have said Monday and Tuesday would be great, and we're going to try. If you send that to me, I will try to make that happen. But you'll know, hopefully we'll tell you at your parent family meeting so you'll have a good idea. Oops. Okay, so with all of that, all of the licensing rules and the crazy schedules, now I think you're probably just like us about a month ago thinking like, oh my gosh, what is this gonna be like? Is it gonna be a wreck? Is it gonna be crazy? Is it gonna be face shields everywhere and rulers and walking around saying don't touch that? So to me and Mrs. Cerniak and Miss Julie, we often think of the analogy of dandelions. If you see a field of dandelions, many people look at it and they see a field of weeds. And oh my gosh, look at all those weeds, and there's so many, and this is just ridiculous. But you know what? Some people, especially children, see those dandelions and they don't see weeds. What do they see, Julie?
Wishes.
They see a million wishes. Each one of those little tiny things that float away, another wish or another possibility. So that's the attitude that we want you to have looking forward to this year, because yeah, there are going to be some changes, but what is it going to be like? It's going to be like a million new possibilities. It's going to be great, because if we really think about what children are going through and what they've gone through since March, what they need right now is a lot of calm, secure opportunity to play, someone to listen to. Do you want to talk more about this, Mrs. Cerniak?
We will make Parma Preschool be safe and secure, but as Miss Jackie said, children have been through a lot recently. They know more than we think they know. Their world has been turned upside down, and sometimes they don't have any control and are struggling to understand what's going on. So when they come to Parma Preschool this fall, it is going to be a place where they are supported and they are allowed to play with friends, and they will be listened to, and we're going to make it as great as possible. So right now they need a lot of social emotional things, so we're going to add mindfulness, discussing how we're feeling, and practice social regulations. We're going to play games and have yoga and kinder music and gymnastics. So when they enter our doors, it's going to be a place for children to have joy. Want to add anything, Julie?
It's just giving these children, your children, an opportunity to be with other children and to be safe and in a controlled environment. You know, there's only going to be small numbers, and we will make sure that they're safe and that we are, you know, making all the necessary things. But we just want them to be able to have a place where they can come and play. And even if it's only 2 days a week instead of 5 days a week, 2 days a week that they don't have right now and they haven't had since March.
That's enough, yeah.
And so it's just a place where a couple days a week they get to go and they learn and they're going to play and they're going to have fun. And like Mrs. Cerniak said, just have joy for the day.
All right. So some of our new procedures, Mrs. Cerniak covered a lot of these. Arrival and dismissal are a work in progress. We know that we're going to be washing hands more. The new thing about that is we're going to have to wash hands before we leave to go home. So we always wash hands. We wash hands constantly. There's sinks in and by every classroom. So we wash hands when we arrive, anytime we touch our face or there's a faceful violation, anytime before or after we eat, but we're not eating, anytime we paint or get hands messy. Now we're going to be washing hands. Oh, anytime we go outside and then we come back in, we wash our hands. Before we leave and we send your children home, they'll also be washing their hands. We talked about no shoes in the classroom, well checks, no snack. we didn't really talk about masks and facial coverings, and that's because this is still to be decided. We know now, right now, that we don't have a choice with our staff because of the governor's mandate. So the staff will have to wear facial coverings or masks or face shields. But as of right now, we do not need to require young children, the preschoolers, to wear facial coverings. So if you would like to, you can, but we're reading a lot of the research and all the recommendations, and it is still up to us. If that changes, we'll let you know. All of this can change. But a lot of children, young children, anyone really under age 8, but under 5, if they're wearing something on their face, they tend to touch their face more and fidget with it or lick it or suck on it. So that really isn't as clean as the whole intention for masks. So if you want to send your child in a mask, you can. But right now, as of today, they will not be required for children.
Again, the policies and procedures are changing daily. So the governor has just put in place these changes some changes as of August 9th. And although they went into effect August 9th, we still have not received them. So we're still going by the previous pandemic rules. So in the next few days, we should hear about the new ones. So that some of that we have no control over. That part of the reason why we kept only 9 children in a classroom, our classrooms are quite large. And with just 9 children in there, that gives them a lot of space in between each other. And we also plan on spending a lot of time outdoors. And that will, again, stop some of transmission between children.
So what's next? I have a tentative date for our parent meeting, which is the one we'll have everyone come to, because it's so many families. We're probably going to do it on Zoom and record it, but we'll probably poll you and find out what works, because a lot of parents are working. Some people are working from home, so that's why we're recording this one. Typically, we have that in person, and there's a lot of paperwork. One thing that we're trying to figure out to keep less people in the building at the same time is that we can meet you in these family meetings, which will be a couple families a day, and you could bring your child to see the classroom. You can go through all of your paperwork at those meetings, turn in everything. What do we need from you before school? Your child's birth certificate, the last 4 numbers of their social security number. We need that for everybody. Proof of income if you're applying for the ECE scholarship. And then an email went out with a bunch of forms. So if you didn't get that, let us know and we will email it to you again. That should be an enrollment form. There's an application, a medical statement that gets signed by the doctor, and then the scholarship application form if you're applying for a scholarship. And finally, the registration fee of $75. We had a glitch with the website. For some reason, no one was able to add or process a card. So once that gets fixed, we'll let you all know, and we'll say we can start sending those payments through, but we'll let you know before that happens. And then at the bottom, we have our dandelion picture so that you know that it's going to be a bunch of possibilities.
I also want to remind everyone, it's really important to get your paperwork in. With only putting 9 children in a class, it is the first couple of people that get their paperwork in, then they have the spot. So try not to wait till the last minute. The only one that you could wait on would be the medical, because you might have some trouble getting the doctor, but get the other paperwork in so that you make sure you're assured a spot in the classroom.
And you can email them. They're all digital. You can sign, scan, send them back, or mail them. Or if you're just around our school, a lot of people drop them off in an envelope. If the church office is open, we're not there every day right now. Or the week of the 24th.
Yeah.
Mail is probably best if you can't scan them and email them. Okay, that's all of our stuff. So what questions do you have?
Somebody has to have a question.
Maybe not, because we covered everything so well.
So for pickup and drop-off policies, is it going to have to be strictly parents?
Sorry,
sorry.
say that again.
Okay, so for pickup and drop-off policies, is it going to have to strictly be parents, or can it potentially be grandparents as well picking up and dropping off?
Sure, it can, we often have grandparents or auntie drops off and somebody else picks up. You know, everybody works. So we, at the beginning of the year, we will find out who's dropping off and who's picking up. And on the one form, you put their name and you're good to go. So that happens all the time. It does not have to be parents.
Okay,
Okay.
So some places like my child's gymnastics and stuff, it has to be the same parent every day, pick up and drop off. And I think that's different businesses and companies, the way that they're trying to not have as many people in and out of the building. But the way that we're going to do drop off and pick up is that you won't have to necessarily worry about that, because what's most important is that you can get your child to school. And right now things are crazy and people don't even know when they're working or how they're working or anything. So we're going to make sure that we're going to make it as easy for you, but we will need to know the person. We might have to ID them, especially if it's somebody different. Like Mrs. Cerniak said, if it changes, you'll have to fill out that paperwork, but it will not have to be the same person picking up and dropping off every day, because we know that sometimes that is just not possible. And I understand why some places do it, but we're going to make it so that you just have somebody to pick up your child.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Some of the things that we're trying to throw around is we've always had parents bring their kids into the school. And so what we're trying to kick around is, could we have some sort of drop off outside where we take the children out of the car and then we walk them in together. We've also considered, since our classes are going to be so small, staggering the start times and letting you walk in. We don't know what will work best. So just know that we do a really good job of, the teachers get to know your family. And when we see whoever brings your child, then we expect to see them again. And if we see someone else, even if your child knows that person, we look at whatever you put on the form. So if they're on an emergency contact and we ID them and their name matches, then they could go home with them. Anything else?
No.
What about social distancing?
Okay, so this
Like, just my daughter gets really excited when she sees another kid and wants to run up to them. How do we handle that
type
of situation?
The easy answer is young children don't social distance. We're not saying that they're going to be on top of each other and hugging each other. We're hoping. However, the reason that we're keeping our pandemic rules is because if we have 9 children in a class, that has more than enough space. Our children could social distance from each other with plenty of space with 18 in a class. But if there's 9 in a class, then they're going to spread out even more. So the teachers will be able to be aware of, if a child, we may be at a table where we had 6 chairs typically, or let's say 4, 1 on each side. Now we'll only put 2. So we're going to set up the room so that there won't be as much opportunity for them to get as close, but we're not going to run around and tell children don't get too close. So we're going to do a better job of screening children before they come to school. We're asking parents to do that at home. We're going to clean and clean and clean and clean, but we're not going to say don't touch them. If they get close, they may get close. We are very hands-on. We hug and we pick up and we sit on laps. We're not going to do that as much this year. We're not going to be doing that. We're trying to think of some other things, like, can you do an elbow bump? Can you do a virtual high five? Those types of things. But children are going to they don't social distance. Now we also have, a lot of them have been terrified to get close to other people for the past 6 months. So I will see. They may all kind of spread. But we're going to try to set up the classroom so that does that make sense? So so they're spaced out as much as possible.
So we are going
definitely.
we are going to spend time talking to the children, and in a preschool kind of way, explain to them about germs, and your body likes your germs just like we do normally. And we're going to teach them different ways to show your friend that you like them. For instance, elbow bump. Or we're going to come up with different types of things to guide them through these changes. But children like to be together. We are social beings. And, but
And
we're
that's
going to do our best. We have an arsenal to go.
Yeah. So. And we'll do more, we don't have to change a lot. We're really good at cleaning and keeping things sanitized. So if two children are playing at a table and they get up, we can clean that table so the next person who comes is not touching the same stuff. We're thinking about having like a cubby for each one's art supplies. We're not going to have a big thing of Play-Doh that they all grab their hands in. We're not going to have a big sandbox. The things that we don't want them all to touch at the same time, we're just going to take out. So that being said, there's going to be plenty of stuff to do, and we'll just have individual stuff.
Like they'll each have their own individual Play-Doh with their name on it, instead of just picking anyone off the shelf. Now they'll have their own with their name on, and that's the Play-Doh they play with.
And even before, COVID and everything, part of going to preschool is teaching children, how to give personal space. And sometimes you need to give space, but then also show your friends that you care about them and still have fun. So that's just something that when they go to preschool, we work out anyways. Because, everybody needs to give personal space, because some kids really like to get close, and then other kids, that's too much. So it's something we always talk about, and we'll just make sure we do it in a way that's not so, don't touch that person, because that could just be so alarming for a child.
We don't want to scare them anymore. Mrs. Napop or Mr. John, do you have anything to add?
I think everything is going to work out great. I don't want anybody to worry about anything.
I think you guys have covered a lot of the stuff already.
Thanks.
You're doing good.
Chuck, tell Beth I says hi.
Yeah, will do. And thank you, everyone, for putting this together. It seems like you have a really well thought out plan, and I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Get your paperwork in.
I
hate paperwork. I like it to be over with right away. Mrs. Busser, I would like for you to, if you could, I love to see your mud pit pictures again. Your duck pond. Do you know what? You're laughing now. You know what I'm talking. Just so everybody knows, Mrs. Busser has been with us. This is her 5th child going through now. And she lives on a farm, and she has ducks. And there was a big, water mud pit, and her kids were sliding down into it. And boy, I wish I could have went over there and played.
We are creating a pond for the ducks. So that's what that is. It's not filled in yet with water. So the kids are sliding down in the mud.
Okay.
Hi,
I'm not sure
Haven.
as far as sharing everything, but I have pictures on my phone.
It was so
That's
fun.
Playing with the hose.
And the ducks looked happy too.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
Yes, they are having a blast.
And
we put some toys in the pond.
There you go. There you go.
So that was fun.
I was wondering how you cleaned your dog.
You know what? His coat is amazing. After he dries, it all shakes off.
Wow.
She has a
So he
wet
just
dog.
dried and he's fine.
Yeah.
That's the way their fur is made.
Okay.
All right.
That's fun.
If there's no other questions, then we'll end this, and we'll hope to see you all. If you think of anything, email us. Email is the best way to reach us. We're not at school every day. Um,
And don't be scared to like ask a question, because sometimes we think we covered everything, and then like, my daughter was supposed to be going to kindergarten, which now we're not 100% sure what's going on. And like sometimes I just think of questions and I'm like, is that like something I should really ask? I don't want to bother them, but we rather you bring up like questions or concerns with us, because sometimes we're not thinking about what your thoughts may be, or we might just overlook something. So like reach out if you have any questions or anything. Don't like feel like, you know, if any question isn't important, because they are. And as a mom with my daughter going to school, like I want all my questions to be answered as well.
all right.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you for attending.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. See you later.
Bye.